Chapter 519. They left the break room as if nothing had happened. The hall where the party had concluded was long empty, and quiet had settled in. The only thing left in the silent space was the massive head of Baphomet, placed on a cart to be later transferred to the Sun Palace. Either stayed silently at the head, which cast a shadow as if a symbol of something. Throughout the party, he had seen many who had avoided and feared that head. However, some people bravely approached it, inspecting it closely and even thanking the cavalry or asking about events that had taken place in the West. A good number among them were either related to houses friendly to the emperor or those who had directly benefited from the West being their homeland. These were sights you could not have seen during the harvest festival, when many had deliberately ignored the very existence of the cavalry. It was proof that changes were happening continuously, even in places that were not directly visible to Uther's eyes. Although Uther himself had contributed to killing the monster quicker and differently than in his previous life, he wasn't responsible for the changes that followed. The ones shaking a world that had seemed set in its own courses were Emperor Kalusa and Kishir. No matter how much people like Duke Diarca tried to suppress the existence of the cavalry in the changing world, things would not roll along as they did in Uther's previous life. For that very reason, the Emperor must survive, he thought. What are you thinking so deeply about? Are you perhaps regretful about leaving that behind? No, Uther replied, breaking his reverie and turning away. Kishir, who had casually glanced at the head of Baphomet, narrowed his eyes, emitting a sound of approval. Good, I was feeling quite relieved to leave it behind. It would have been slightly tragic if you are feeling regretful. Uther calmly refuted, stating that he too felt better after leaving the head behind. Kishir burst into laughter, prompting Nathan Zuckerman, who was walking ahead, to turn around with a curious expression. Uther thought his gaze was strangely similar to Kana's. Thus ended the grand party held to celebrate the cavalry. Sir Keol, what is that you're holding in your hand? It's a symbol of an escort knight for His Highness. Keol responded, trying to maintain his composure as he heard the slow rolling sound of the carriage wheels on the way to the bright palace. He had been holding it in his hand out of fear of losing it, surprised that it had even been noticed and commented upon. Is it broken? The pin fell off by accident earlier. I'm planning to have it repaired on the way back. Unfortunate. It seemed fine before you left your position. Did it happen on your way back? Yes. There is a superstition among the escort knights that dropping your symbol brings bad luck for a while. Be careful. Thank you for your concern. He had been unaware of the superstition, but hearing it now made everything suddenly feel unfortunate. Then again, the whole situation is also unfortunate. The information he had heard from Uther Ale today and the tasks he needed to focus on were already headache-inducing. And now the Crown Prince, who had never shown an ounce of interest in him since he became an escort knight, suddenly struck up a conversation. Had he raised suspicions when he stepped away earlier? Even though Keol believed it unlikely, he felt extremely uneasy, as if he were sitting on a bed of thorns. And as if sensing that discomfort and deliberately prodding at it, the Crown Prince opened his mouth once again. But who exactly is it? Excuse me? I'm talking about the one you consider important enough to leave the party to meet and with whom you have spent such an engrossing time that you have lost your emblem. Keol was so surprised that he almost gasped for breath. What do you mean? I don't quite... I have ears too, you know. I have heard rumors that you have had a deep meeting with someone during the previous party in the palace, enough to catch the eye of patrolling guards. Was the person you met today the same one? ... A pale Keol recalled Uther Ale, whom he had encountered during the party on the last day of the harvest festival. That day, Jidir had grabbed Keol's collar and feigned intimacy to avoid the gaze of the patrolling guards. Keol had thought he'd successfully buried those rumors, so they wouldn't lead back them to him. Had he not? No, more importantly, does he really not believe my excuse? Apparently, he didn't believe him, and he was correct in assuming that Keol had met the same person both previously and today. However, it seemed he didn't know that person was the cursed cavalry. But the deep meeting the Crown Prince was hinting at was absolutely, positively not the case between Keol and his companion. The emblem that Keol had lost wasn't because they had a deep relationship. It was a simple, unfortunate mistake. Checking the condition of an old emblem was a servant's job, not his own. Meeting you there was a matter with not a shred of shame. Keol felt a slight guilt toward his father, but if things were sorted out, both his father and the Crown Prince would surely understand. It was an act full of sincerity and concern. The Crown Prince was clearly deeply misunderstanding something. I'm not some sort of philanderer, but Keol couldn't figure out what to say to correct him. Keol's slightly parted lips trembled, yet to the Crown Prince, that shiver seemed to indicate something else entirely. You seem surprised. I didn't mean to probe. It's just a little sad to think that even you, the Duke's most cherished child, might have secrets you can't share with your parents. Judging from the times you have left, I can roughly guess who this person might be. It's fine. I have no intention of speaking about it elsewhere. ... By the way, I noticed you headed in the direction of the lounge when you left. Did you happen to see the assistant of the cavalry commander while you were tending to your business? No. Keol reflexively raised his voice and shook his head. It was one thing for Prince Kashtian to know he had lied to step out and meet someone. It was another matter entirely to reveal he had met you there. That had to remain a secret at all costs. As for that, I could hardly have seen a subordinate without his superior, secluded in the lounge. How could I possibly notice someone like that? I see, that makes sense. Although the Empress was showing interest in him, I was just a little curious as to why he didn't appear till the end of the party. Why are you interested in such a person, Your Highness? Keol's face, flushed from his surprise, made it appear as if he was the one questioning Kashtian's integrity. The Crown Prince tilted his head slightly, maintaining his calm demeanor. Why? Is it so strange for me to take an interest? Are you going to tell the Duke that I asked about him? Naturally, Keol couldn't comply. As he kept his mouth shut, a faint smile spread across Kashtian's face. I told you, I was merely a little curious. ... Having seen a new side of you through today's party, I find myself more at ease, hence this frank conversation. I'm beginning to regret having found you difficult to approach until now. Amidst the abrupt change in atmosphere, as Keol's head swirled in confusion, Kashtian shifted the topic and made an unexpected proposition. Keol, would you like to join me tomorrow for a game of strategy while we await the arrival of the healers? It's been a long time since I had an opponent for such a game. What in the world was this? Was the situation saved or not? In any case, I need to learn more about those scamming healers. I guess agreeing would be the right move. Yes, I understand. Keol nodded with a grimaced face. A fine line appeared on Kashtian's enigmatic and fluctuating visage. You made a good choice.